seconds, right, Borja? Okay. Okay, Hillary, you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Okay, Borja? He's got to set some things up on the computer here. Okay, you're ready to go. Okay, run. Okay, this is how the simulation initializes. What I would recommend you do is go ahead and get your power levers back to at least 20 or less because you want to slow down. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do again is turn you to a heading and have you descend. So NASA 1, turn right to a heading of 090, descend and maintain 2,500.
090-2500.
Now what I'd also like you to do, again, is to remind you anytime a message comes up, I'd just like you to call it out and acknowledge it, please.
Okay, IPS fail.
Okay. And you can use a little more bank angle than that. The one thing too I'll tell you is that because you have alpha limits posted, you know, and as you know that when you bank the aircraft, of course your stall speed is higher. And what will happen is that as you bank the aircraft and go steeper and steeper bank angles, you notice the relationship between the aircraft reference symbol and the upper AOA bar will decrease, obviously, as you get closer and closer to that stall angle of attack. Okay, NASA 1 base leg, and that to you means, of course, that you're going to slow to 85 knots and below and select flaps to 20. And again, my recommendation is that you do that by doing it in increments. And I might suggest you go ahead and bring your power levers back to about maybe 12 or so, somewhere in that range, just to get yourself slowing down. Okay. And I just want to remind you too, Hillary, when you do that, to be ready to start
Add
adding a little
power.
bit of power, obviously, so that you don't get yourself too slow. So keep your eye on the airspeed indicator, control your pitch attitude. That's the way. And be a little more assertive with the flight controls if necessary. This thing is an old hog, and it needs some coaching. And remember, your level flight pitch attitude is going to be 2.5 degrees nose low. And I would suggest that you reduce your power a bit. It's going to take about 20 psi of torque. If your speed um, is where you want it to be, but you're climbing, the way you're going to control that is by reducing power. And if you keep the same angle of attack reference in the box, the speed will stay approximately the same. It takes a little bit of time for the aircraft to kind of catch up to the inputs that you've made. So kind of be patient with it and work with it a bit and see where that power setting and pitch angle is taking you. Okay? Okay, NASA 1, come left now to a heading of 045. You are cleared for the approach. Your missed approach instructions will be to turn right to 090, climb and maintain 3000.
Left 045, climb maintain 3000. 090, missed approach.
Roger. Notice how close you're also flying to that upper airspeed cue. And I'll remind you again that when your CDI comes across the case and it's inside of that first dot, that's when you go ahead and start your turn to final. Okay. I would also like to suggest that before, as you did before, is to turn that heading bug first before you make the turn. It'll be especially important when you're there struggling with trying to maintain pitch control that you can just pick up and capture that the correct heading, and you don't have to sit there and try and figure out what the indicator is actually saying, because you'll see it coming that way. It might take a little bit more power there. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, as I said, there's no winds in here, so if when you're on center line, of course, if you're heading exactly 360, you should stay right on center line. So be pretty assertive with it when it tries to run away from you like that, okay? Generally, in all these transitions, when you're making bank angle changes and you're turning to courses and everything else, that's when you're going to start having your pitch problems, because whether you realize it or not, you're going to be doing something with the pitch axis that will upset it slightly. NASA 1, we see you approaching the final approach fix. You are cleared for the approach. Give us your best speed on final.
Over the approach.
Now what I suggest here, Hillary, is make a power reduction. That's correct, right about there. About 15 psi, 16 psi. Okay. When your speed comes below 75 knots, flaps to 30 and 5 degrees nose low. That's it. Freeze that attitude. Let's see what this gives you for as far as glide path control, okay?
I got red flap limit and climb limit.
Okay, and the climb limit again means what?
That if I were to go around with my flap setting, I don't think I'd climb.
That's correct, if you lost an engine. So basically it's telling you single engine capability is gone. Okay, power back. Okay, Borak kill. Okay. Okay, what you just experienced was a tail stall. Okay, so what happens is when you're flying this thing and you're right on the edge of that thing, uh, keeping that aircraft reference symbol just above that lower pitch bar is imperative. Okay, if you let it get away from you, and all it takes is just a momentary distraction, you're probably distracted for just a moment, and at that point there, the aircraft upset and over it went. So we've got you right up, kind of up against that limit. So that's what this session is for, is to practice this and to get used to it. So we'll go ahead and set up again, Borja, for a second practice run. The forces with flaps 30, of course, are just extremely high, and even many of the guys can. In fact, most of the guys can't even pull through it either. So don't feel bad. I can't pull through it. The only salvation for something like that is, of course, flaps up and power back, and then of course you'd recover from it. Okay, you ready? Are you ready, Hillary?
We're ready.
All righty, let's go ahead and go run. NASA 1, turn right to a heading of 090, descend and maintain 2,500, base leg.
090, 2,500.
Okay, and crank that heading, that's it.
PS fail.
Okay. And you notice there's no cues yet. It's what the system has to do is it has to sense that there is ice on the airplane. Okay, and there's the appearance of your alpha bars. And you notice that also coincident with that was the appearance of your low speed caret. That represents the stall speed at the zero flap setting. So we'll let it continue to slow, and then we'll configure with flaps 20. And again, there's going to be one tick mark nose down at 85 knots and approximately 20 psi. Those are targets, and you could work up to those. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back up and operating. Okay, and again, Hillary, I want to remind you